Max Verstappen's chances of driving for Mercedes in 2026 have reportedly been shut down by none other than Toto Wolff, and the Dutchman didn't exactly stay quiet about it. While his options have certainly narrowed if he ever chooses to leave Red Bull, Max just dropped a subtle but very clear hint about where he sees his F1 future heading. Could we see him walk away from Red Bull if the new 2026 regulations turn out to be a disaster for the Austrian team? And more importantly, is this a golden opportunity for Aston Martin to make a move? There's no denying it, Mercedes and Verstappen have stirred up the biggest storm in the F1 world lately. But now, it looks like that chapter is finally closed. Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff publicly stated that his focus for the upcoming regulation era lies with George Russell and Kimi Antonelli. That's a firm and final shut door for Verstappen. And while there was never any official confirmation that the four-time world champion would move to Mercedes, the possibility kept the F1 media in a frenzy for months. With Wolff finally speaking up, the bigger picture of what lies ahead after 2026 is starting to come into focus. But don't expect any major shifts in the first year of the new regulations. Wolff elaborated further on Mercedes' future and the long-standing Verstappen saga, stating, "Discussions have taken place over the last weeks and months, so they're all up to date. The direction of travel is that we want to continue with George and Kimi. That's the first priority. You can't look past someone like Max and the plans he has for the future. We did that, but I don't think there'll be any big surprises." This whole story caught fire when data surfaced showing Wolff and Verstappen were both vacationing in Sardinia, Italy, leading many to believe a major bombshell move was on the brink of happening. But with Wolff's latest comments, it seems highly unlikely he'll chase Verstappen for 2026. That said, the story is far from over. Now let's rewind a bit and see what Max himself had to say about being publicly shut down by Wolff. His response? Surprisingly relaxed. "Well, I was swimming in the ocean at the time," he said. "I don't really care about those things because I went on holiday with my friends and family. And when other people are also there at the same time, that can happen. I mean, there are more people on the island than just me and Toto and the family. If you go to the same island, that can happen. But that doesn't clear up the real mystery, where is Max actually going to drive beyond 2026? As it stands, many believe Verstappen is gearing up to leave Red Bull, unless something extraordinary happens and he loses 18 points to Russell over the next two races. That would drop him to P4 in the championship and automatically trigger his exit clause. But now that Mercedes seems out of the picture, and with Aston Martin reportedly locked into their 2026 lineup, where does that leave him? Commenting on the uncertainty of it all, Max added a surprisingly philosophical note. "There is also the possibility of not waking up tomorrow, and so there's no driving at all. Life is unpredictable, and in general, I'm happy with where I'm at. The target was that when I signed my deal, I would drive here until the end of my career." Interestingly, Max also dismissed the idea that Christian Horner's exit had any impact on his long-term plans, stating that he remains fully focused on extracting performance from the RB21 and re-entering the championship fight. But let's be honest, Red Bull's technical department has taken some serious hits lately, starting with Pierre Wache and Enrico Balbo. The team is clearly cleaning house, with Horner being just the latest high-profile departure. Still, Max appears locked in, at least for now, on seeing how the new regulations play out before making any long-term decisions about 2027 and beyond. When asked how Horner's departure affected team morale and his own mindset, Max responded with classic Verstappen cool. "Of course, when there's a change like that on the first day, people are a bit like, okay, what's happening? But luckily, I think basically the day after the announcement, I was at the factory doing my simulator stuff and you just go back to work. We have to work on performance, setting up the car here and making sure that everything is correlated in the best way possible. And yeah, you just focus on that because at the end of the day, that's my job. Now, let's imagine the worst-case scenario. What if Red Bull completely drops the ball in 2026? What if they end up buried in the midfield or worse, because of a weak power unit? Early reports suggest that Red Bull powertrains might be one of the weakest on the grid, potentially rivaling Audi for the bottom spot. But with Max in the car, they'll never be completely out of the fight. Still, a four-time world champion isn't going to settle for midfield scraps. And if Red Bull fails him, the most logical exit route remains Mercedes, potentially in 2027. By then, Aston Martin could also be in the mix, depending on who gains the upper hand under the new regulations. For Max, it could become a simple question of which team offers the better package. But here's the catch. Just because Verstappen is available doesn't mean Mercedes or Aston Martin will come running. If Russell, Antonelli, or even Alonso are delivering top-tier results, what's the need to spend astronomical money on Verstappen? Besides, Alonso, already in his 40s, is expected to retire soon, which could open a door at Aston. Yet at Mercedes, the board reportedly doesn't want to replace either of their hand-raised drivers with an external superstar, even one as accomplished as Verstappen. They've invested years in developing Russell and Antonelli, and pulling the rug out from under one of them could send the wrong message. However, there's a twist. Reports suggest Mercedes CEO Ola Kalinius may be prepared to override Toto Wolff and do everything in his power to bring Max into the team. If true, this could turn into a full-blown internal power struggle at Mercedes. Kalinius remains hungry for results, and he sees Verstappen as a key to rebuilding Mercedes' dominance, regardless of Wolff's long-term driver plan. Still, many, including F1 pundit Martin Brundle, doubt this move will materialize. Brundle recently spoke directly to Max and walked away convinced that the Dutchman is staying put for now. "I think the conversation that Verstappen and Wolff held was part of what was going on," Brundle said. But on Thursday, Max was like, "It's all about having a fast car, I just want a fast car. And I think Horner's exit means he'll now stay. I'm certain he'll stay at Red Bull for 2026 and see what happens." A conversation I had last night seems to confirm that. But the performance is not exactly diabolical, is it? All signs point to Verstappen waiting out the first year of the new regulations and reevaluating his options once the dust settles. Realistically, it's hard to imagine him fighting at the front in 2026. Expect to see the return of number 33. But if Red Bull and Ford fail to deliver on their powertrain promises, Max won't think twice about using his exit clause. Loyalty has its limits and a price. If Red Bull isn't willing to meet it, they'll need to prepare for life after Max. After all, he's already delivered 4 world championships to the team. The first came in that unforgettable clash with Hamilton, while the last came driving what was arguably only the 3rd fastest car on the grid, something we haven't seen since 1983. So what do you think about Max Verstappen's response to Toto Wolff's public denial of contract talks for 2026? And more importantly, will Ola Kalinius go rogue and try to sign Max behind Wolff's back? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And once you've done that, make sure to click on the video currently appearing on your screen right now.